back. I told you they wouldn't run, and they didn't. I keep saying that Steve Roberts tried to run.
The cuffs won't.
They won't get that high.
The barbed wire hurt too. So.
This is a rare opportunity. So during the day, both of these guys have high active. I don't want to say high stress, but very engaging and demanding jobs. Let's go with that.
Stress,
and right, I'm sure we could. So getting you guys out was awesome, especially the two of you together, because I know how hard the.
Thank you for having us. It's an honor and a pleasure and a privilege.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. So, first of all, as I said in the band crawl, these guys don't play as often as the rest of us for all the reasons we talked about. And so you can't go see them every weekend, which means when they do play, you want to go because you're not going to get to do it next weekend or the weekend after. Some bands you can go see on a rotation, which is great because they play all the time. Other bands are once in a while. So, you take advantage of it when you can.
Yep.
And I have bands like that I follow where I know, like, I got to go see them now because I won't see them for 8 weeks. So they probably have not seen Eden Lane at all. I've seen you many times. I've played with you before.
Right.
What I like, and I'll let you fill them in on the type of music, but, you can dance, you can sing, you'll have a great time the whole night, kind of no matter what you like. I mean, your playlist is pretty wide, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was by design, right? I mean, when people always ask you when you're in a band, especially when you're tuning and getting ready for the first set, what kind of music do you play? And yeah, you want to be careful about what you say, but I mean, I think the real answer, we have been playing for so long, since high school, really.
Yeah.
And we've been in a whole variety of different states, both living and playing. We pick songs that we believe will get people to drink, eat, and dance. That's the goal. That's really the main thing. You won't hear prog rock. You won't hear a lot of like super, thrash metal. You're gonna hear a lot of music. Is
there any thrash metal? I don't recall thrash metal.
No thrash metal.
No thrash metal. No.
In fact, it's really all variations of rock. We usually we'll open up with a bunch of maybe mellowish yacht rock type songs just to kind of get going, and through the night we kind of build. We do Eagles, we do Tom Petty, we do the Foo Fighters, we do
Bruce Springsteen for those of you from the north like us.
Right,
yeah.
a lot of 80s and 70s.
And it's male and female vocals.
Yeah.
Now, you sing lead. I know
Right.
Deanna on female lead vocals.
That's right.
I know Mark and Paul. I don't think Paul sings. But does Mark do backgrounds?
No, not really.
So it's
He
the
wants
three.
to. He really, really wants to.
They do to him what they do to me. They're like, your mic is on. Trust me, it's on.
Right. We usually put a screwdriver in the mic stand.
But the male-female vocals really opens it up. I mean,
yeah.
Some of the songs that I go out when I go to see these guys, I like to hear. I like Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
I like Goody Two Shoes Adamant.
Yep.
I know we play it. You'd think I'd be sick of it. I love the Journey stuff. Almost
Yeah.
anything
So
Journey.
we wouldn't be able to do Journey at all if not for having Deanna, who can actually
sure.
sing those parts, and we
Sure.
just do the harmonies.
Sure, but you've got that wide berth like we do because you've got the female vocalist. I mean, I think it's safe to say when people ask us, like, what do you do? Say, we're a dance party band.
Yeah.
You really are a dance party
Yeah.
band, just more on the rock side.
Sure. Rock party band.
There you go.
It's songs you know. It's songs you recognize. And we'll throw in some stuff that we think a lot of other bands don't play just to be weird and different.
And you guys, I know you mentioned it in the beginning, you guys have been playing together forever. You were in a band together in high school.
Literally in high school.
Remind me where in New Jersey, because I don't want to be wrong.
Well, it's the northern part of New Jersey, suburbia.
Yeah.
It's a town called Whippany. Shout out. It's near Morristown, if anyone knows that. But I went to Rutgers, and Roger's family moved here during our college years. I worked my way through college playing in bar bands, and so did Roger. So we know a lot about how to react to a crowd. I mean, I know I don't want to oversell, but we've been going to bars with a set list, seeing what happens on the dance floor, and reacting to keep them on the dance floor for 25 years, right? So just like you guys do. So we're always conscious of what the people are doing in the place in the venue. That's we've been playing together throughout that whole time. Reconnected after college. Turns out Roger and I ended up in the same business. He found me on the internet, 20 years ago now?
Yeah.
And we've been playing here since then. Before I moved here, I was a traveling consultant. I fly to Orlando every month or so for these gigs.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so all these, even though the venues that we talked about on the crawl aren't as familiar to me because I've been in Orlando pretty much during COVID. But right now I'm going to bust out and we're going to see a lot more bands as we play.
And you guys are now completely connected because if I'm right, your girlfriend's his sister.
Yes.
So the band thing better work out.
That's
right?
a whole nother episode
That's
of the
another
show.
episode. Yes.
That's the other thing. So this weekend, Saturday, is the full Eden Lane lineup.
Correct.
And here's something, I think this is amazing, just because I wouldn't do it. But
Okay.
your band flies in, like, from where they are because they love playing.
So-
like, it's crazy.
So our drummer is Paul Pleminos, who still lives in New Jersey. He flies down at the drop of a hat. I don't know how. He just does. But this weekend, you mentioned it's the full band. Mark can't make it, so we have Gina
that's
Tripoletti,
Gina
who
Tripoletti,
some of you know.
Yep.
She's filled in with us several times before. She knows our set list, and she's great. Sweet person who, is willing to do this whenever we ask her for some reason.
and
So
and
she's-
Paul's flying in, like,
Yeah, he'll be here.
I've seen many gigs where they're like, "Oh yeah, we're all flying in to do it. Can you make sure we need to get the details a couple weeks ahead of time because we got to get flights."
Yeah.
Are those guys original members from when you played up there?
Yes.
Indeed, yes.
So
All
now-
the same high school band.
Literally, right?
Yes,
This is the
that's
high school
exactly-
band that is still playing.
In 1986, we had a high school band called Rude Awakening. That was the name of our band. And so we've reunited, most of the members from that, and this is now Eden Lane, which, by the way, Eden Lane is the name of the street we all grew up on in New Jersey. So that's where
I
that
didn't
name
know
comes
that.
from.
Yeah, it's right at the corner of the house my parents still live in. It's Eden Lane and Independence Drive, and Eden Lane connected my town, Whippany, with their town, Cedar Knoll. So that's the connection.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's really neat that it is literally the high school. And by the way, that means you guys have been together on and off for 30 years?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
right. That's the other reason they don't suck, is if I had 30 years to play with my band, we'd be ridiculous too.
Well, the other side of that is, we don't play all the time, right? And we do have a following. It's friends and family and some people who have become fans of the band. But it's a novelty when we play because it's not all that often. I think if we played every single weekend, we might lose some of that, and that's what kind of keeps it fun for us.
Yeah, and we have fun every time.
Yeah,
we
it's
play,
special
so we're
every
excited
time
about
we
it, yeah.
play because
well,
it's not all the
frequent
time.
flyer miles, like
There's
that.
all
Always
that.
helps.
Yeah.
You know,
Always
you'd be the
helps.
only band
Right.
in town who, like, we can't come. There's been a weather delay in San Diego
Yeah,
because your guys
That
are flying
happened.
in from
Right.
wherever.
We actually, it's a fun, quick story. We had a gig at the old Dexter's, and my brother was the drummer. My brother is also a drummer.
He's playing with you soon at another event you
He
have in
is
May.
at the
Yep,
Kentucky
yep.
everything, but snowstorm. He was on his way to the airport, got stuck. We did a gig at Dexter's with drum tracks on a laptop. We had no drummer.
If my
But we know
band
how
could
to do
figure
it.
out how to do that, they would do that. They're right now, Dave Manders
we
at
don't
home
do that
Googling
normally.
how to do that. So
Right.
he does not.
Once in probably 15 years we've had to do that, so that's
Right.
not what we normally do.
But
you
if there's
know,
one thing I want to say about the band, and you sort of touched on this too, is when we do play at these venues and we're reading the crowd, should we keep the dance going? Do we need to bring it down or whatever? To me, the biggest thing is, did the venue do well that night? Did we bring in enough people? Are the bar receipts high? Is everybody tipping and taking care of the staff and having a nice time? That's a successful night.
Yeah,
if the
because-
bar had a good night, then
Sure.
we had a good
And
night.
you know that very well, Dad, especially when you're playing for a living at bars in college, which I did it in
Yeah, they didn't bring you
Jersey.
back if they didn't make money.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah.
on top of all that, I have an uncle that owned a bar for years in New Jersey, and we played at his place, and I knew very well how difficult it was. And it's just it's something that's kind of in our blood. The playing in the bars and going to see bands in bars. It's one of my favorite things to do when we're not playing. So if the whole scene is, if you like drinking, dancing, and a fun party band that understands what it's all about, I think we're a pretty good choice.
And I think, so again, these guys are friends of mine. I didn't hide that from the beginning. I think you sell your fan base short. I mean, every time we've played, and so a lot of bands did this for us, and we do this for other bands. When Eden Lane decided to break into the scene a little bit, we were like, hey, we're playing OBs, come to a set. Hey, we're playing here. Bands did it for me. Bands
Yeah.
do it for other bands.
That always
I
helps.
do it for other bands. But it wasn't like 5 people. We knew that you were playing with us because there was a whole section of people who
Right.
came. And, and I mean this the right way, so don't send me the hate mail. But you're both businessmen. The people who follow you spend money. Like, they do come out and drink and eat. And, because I have our band, I'm a business person. Most of my band is business people. We're older now, so all of us, right? So our friends tend to be further in their careers when they go out. They're not 21. They're not like, geez, I'm going to find $5 to get in the door. It's
Right.
Right.
But there are bands who will bring out, and on the business side, they don't necessarily realize it. They'll bring out 100 people who spend $100, And then the bar says, well, we didn't have a good night.
Yeah.
They had a
and
great
break
night.
half your furniture, too.
Yeah.
There you go.
And that was the selling point when we first started doing this in Orlando 15 years ago. I mean, we've been flying in and doing it for that long.
That's
as crazy as it sounds, but the selling point was, look, we've gone through the whole like young band. You bring your friends, they drink low shelf liquor and get drunk and start fights. That's not
all
what we
past
do.
that.
We're not only are we past it, but all of our friends and family, they do well. They're going to come in early, they're going to eat early, and stay the whole night, drinking top shelf liquor and wine and all that stuff. And because we don't play every weekend, we can bring a lot of people when we do play.
Like we said, it's a one. If I don't see you, so if we don't see you at Traders, now you happen to have a decently busy 2 months because you're doing the Kentucky Derby, but they're private. They're more private gigs. But normally it's like 3 months between, because I've tried to come see you, and it's always been like, am I off the 5 days a year that Eden Lane is going to play?
Right.
And that's starting to pick up, which is awesome.
So through June we're booked like almost every weekend, which is very unusual for us, but it is picking up some steam.
You're going to sleep for like a month.
Oh, it'd be
July.
great.
I love that because it reminds me of college, but I won't be able to sleep the way I do.
But some of that is we have another incarnation of the band, because which way are you? Bob and I both live here in Orlando, so we have an incarnation of the band that's a duo and a trio sometimes with Deanna. So it's easier for us to play smaller gigs with just a duo. And some of that's starting to pick up some steam too. So we do both.
What's cool is, and Bob and I were talking about this with you a little bit before the show, we really have a big scene. And especially if you're versatile enough that you can do acoustic or you can do the band, like Dave Mander in my band, who is also one of my favorite humans, I joke that he plays like he's homeless. He has 7 gigs this weekend. 7. Because he does acoustic.
Right.
And like he's Saturday with Rachel at her gig. And then he plays, a wedding here and a venue there. And like, you can play all the time.
Yeah.
Well, as a guy that spent a lot of time in the New York, New Jersey area, and the keyboard player Mark and I lived outside LA for a while and played out there. I was surprised at how vibrant the music scene is actually in Orlando. It's fantastic. I tell my friends all the time, you got to come down to Orlando. You would not believe the live music scene. It's fantastic. And so I love it here. I mean, I've been driving and flying down
for years.
For years. I've been here for 3 years, and that's Raj and I have been able to put together the duo situation. But that's how you do it in those cities. If you make a living at it, doing it, you know how to work the different crowds. You figure out how to get the duo, the trio, and the full band thing. We love the full band. That's our favorite thing to do,
Right.
So,
and kudos to you, Dave. Like, thank you, because we weren't widely known, and it's hard to book a gig if people don't know who you are, no matter how great you might be. Not saying that we are, but you have to be known. And you've opened a lot of doors for us as a pal, so I appreciate that.
Dude, no worries. And when I originally played, one of my first bands here was Almost Unknown. And
Was that the name of the band?
That was.
Oh,
we were
really?
Almost Unknown,
realize that.
and that's the name of the band. And they were good. They had all played together for a long time. I auditioned, became the drummer. I hadn't played in 15 years. And just decided, I went and actually saw the Trans Ams at Route 46, like one of my first weekends down here. Turned to Dee, my wife, and said, I'm going to go do that. That seems fun.
Yeah.
And I was in no way prepared to do that. I was not.
I
hadn't played in 15 years. And so I saw them, I saw Crash Rocket, and was like, that's it.
You're
so I
back
keep
in.
joking, I'm Jet Decker's fault. Because I saw them and was like, oh, I'm going to do it. Well, we couldn't play anywhere. Nobody knew us. We literally were Almost Unknown. And, Joe Hilaro, who's an Overkill, was in a band called Donkey Punch. Yeah. And they were like, hey, come play a set, come play a break. And they took us club to club to club. And then Crash Rocket, they'd be like, hey, you guys are coming out. Jump up and play a couple songs with the band. And it doesn't matter how good you are. Like you said, you could even, with the exception of some very few well-known people, you could even be in a really popular band, form a new one, and you're starting over.
Yeah, name, no marquee value.
Right,
Yeah.
and so I'm always happy to do it. I know the other bands in town did it for us, and they still do it for each other. We gave Harlequin a gig at the Hard Rock Hotel that we couldn't play.
Yeah.
We're like, you need to call Harlequin. They'd be great at that. Like,
You have a gig tonight, don't you?
No. Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It's a Wednesday. I don't normally have a gig.
Right.
You gave us that gig.
See how it works, folks?
It was a cycle.
Yeah.
We're playing the Food and Wine Fest in Winter Park, which by the time you see this, we've already played it. So it was awesome, and we did incredible.
They were great.
And I made no mistakes. So there you go. But yes, the bands trade gigs all the time, and that's one of the things I like about the scene. I had a singer who played with me for a while who came down from Philadelphia, and he was like, "Why are you guys helping each other? like it was a war, like turf.
Yeah,
you know,
it's competitive up there, right?
Big
in
time.
certain cities.
And he would actually get mad if I would say at the end of the gig, you know, okay, and don't forget tomorrow night, XYZ is going to be here, and he'd be like, "What the heck are you doing?"
Yeah,
they're not. You know, it's a very different vibe and a very.
it's
big
what
scene.
you should do,
yeah.
you know, and people will do it for you. It's just. This is how you make friends in life. I mean, we should all be helping each other,
Right.
and supporting local music. I say that as two guys who don't do it nearly enough.
Yeah,
But we're gonna change that.
Well, you're just not out on the scene. It's not that you're not
Yeah.
supporting, but you know, you own a company during the day.
Yeah.
You're a high-level executive IT during the day. It's not like you have spare hours to make it happen.
It's
I wish
what
you
we'd
did.
like to be
As
doing.
not-
I'll say
not
that.
as
Right?
much
Right.
as we'd like to. That's
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So, with as long as you have played together, I ask every guest this every time. There's got to be a couple of like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened stories. There's got to be because
dare
you've got 30 years to pick.
Well, there we do the roofie
I
situation.
told
That's
it
the
last
story.
time.
Oh,
I
you
was
told
on
that
the-
last
I
time?
did.
All right. Well,
Can I tell it
that's a
again?
memorable
You can because
one.
I don't remember it and I'm the host.
That's the whole point of the story.
Right, a good lead-in. I like
I
that.
don't even
Segue.
remember.
All right, I'm going to try to make this as concise as possible for,
Yeah.
for time's sake here, and Bob, chime in, of course.
Will do.
We did a gig in all places, Beverly Hills, California. Why we got that gig is
Wow.
a whole other story.
Mark
Okay.
and I lived in L.A. at the time.
Yep. He knew some big shot out there, so they actually booked us, which they were crazy to do. They could have booked anybody. So we go out there to play this gig, and it was catered at a fancy like mansion on a side of a hill. It was crazy. The staff that was brought in was totally catered. They brought in portable bars and everything.
Yeah, it was a party company. They did everything.
Okay.
They did everything. So here's what we remember about that gig. We played only about 4 or 5 songs. Something happened. It got cut short. We go home the next day and it was like, man, that was too bad. We didn't get to play much. We had recorded it.
Yeah, I actually recorded it on some old weird thing that had a disc
Radio
you
Shack
can't buy
tape
anymore.
recorder.
Yeah, it was, Sony
So
thing.
I'm going home the next day. Bob calls me and he says to me, what does
Yeah.
he say?
I said, how long do you think we played last night? Well, what's your recollection of the length and what we did last night?
I said we played about 40 minutes and something happened. We got
I
cut
said,
short.
me too. I said, me too. So I am not right now listening. I actually had a business meeting in Tucson. I was driving out there for a weekend, so I had time to listen to the whole thing. I am listening to all of us play for 3 hours songs that we've never played before. We had no drummer, okay? We had Mark was playing on a little... People were requesting songs that we had never played together. It was clear that the entire place was roofy because we asked even the guy that threw the party, do you remember? What do you remember from last night? His wife, who was a suitcase model. That was that show. The
Deal or No
Deal or
Deal.
No Deal.
Okay.
Shy, beautiful shy. She got up and did a whole speech, drunk speech. No one remembered it, but it was on the tape.
Wow.
And of course, he found I was missing from his house the next day too. So we're convinced we were drugged. We were all drugged. Had no idea, and we played Tina Turner songs that we don't know how to play. So that's probably the craziest story.
Were they good?
No, they were
Next
terrible.
story.
There.
Thankfully, no one remembers any of it.
Yeah, that tape has
I'm
long
the
been
only-
destroyed. I'm
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Right, and it was long enough that you were listening to it on the cassette deck on the drive out, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, yeah, it was shocking. And every moment that I couldn't remember, I got a little more nervous about what was going to happen next. Because if you don't remember something and you're a musician, the first couple of songs you hear yourselves do at request, you can only imagine what happens next.
Oh, yeah. We will occasionally, especially if it's a private party, someone will come up and be like, can you do blah? Now, Dave Mander is a jukebox. Like, he knows everything, but he knows it acoustic in whatever key and format he wants because he plays by himself.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So a lot of times, especially now that he's in the band, someone will come up and be like, we just played a wedding, and then somebody came up and said, can you guys play Family Tradition? And of course, Mander's like, I can do it.
Sure. Right.
Yeah, all right.
His key with
And
the-
he'll turn around and be like, it's these 3 chords and give me this beat. And we play it, which is kind of fun.
Yeah,
But
that's great.
Those are definitely the songs you hope, like, okay, nobody taped that, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's the one that winds up on YouTube with a book of this band.
Of course.
right, as you hosing your way through something you don't know.
Right. We typically don't take requests for that reason. We'll take them, but we won't play them. And by the way, we enjoy a couple of drinks like anybody. We're a drug-free band. I just want to make that
Yeah,
very
that is
clear.
not our zone.
Yeah,
at all.
yeah,
The
we were
blacking out
taken
is not our
advantage of.
thing.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? I think almost every band in town has, like, that's all done.
Yeah.
Like,
That
we're all
doesn't-
older.
Yeah, I hope so. I think
Yeah,
so.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen any of that where I
Right.
used to, like, 10 years ago.
Right, right.
But not so much anymore.
Well, and as you get older, you care a lot. You care more about how you sound, and we all now have
And your life.
Or you'll
unlimited
die.
recording
Right,
rights.
yeah,
right,
Right, or you'll die.
Right.
I was going to ask you something you completely slipped my mind. Oh, yeah. So you are playing more.
Yeah.
You have the ability to play local,
Oh, yeah.
right? Okay, so you're doing Off the Hook, which is a killer venue.
Yeah, we
and
love
Ponce Inlet, by the way, right on. You literally play on the deck, on a stage, 6 feet from the water. Like,
Yeah.
it's a great venue.
Can I give a
outside
quick
bar.
rundown of where we're playing next couple
That's
of
what
weeks?
I was hoping, yeah.
All right, fantastic. So you guys know this coming Saturday, which is the 16th at Traders, 9 p.m. till 1:30 in the morning. Somehow we'll get through that. Then we're playing April 30th, which is a Saturday, at this brand new venue called Fredster's, a.k.a. Adrian's Bar and Grill. It's in Maitland. Huge stage, brand new venue. You got to check this place out. Then we're doing the Kentucky Derby in Winter Park. It's at the Winter Park Event Center. It's a private event. You can buy tickets. They're still available. It'll be fun. And then the next weekend, we're at Imperial, Washburn Imperial,
Yeah.
in Winter Park as the duo inside. Followed by Off the Hook, as you mentioned. That's the weekend of Memorial Day, which is the 28th. That's a 6 to 10 show. It's outside on the deck. Cool venue. Ponce Inlet. It's right in the water. So,
So now that you have more ability to play,
Yeah.
right? Where do you want to play? Because you haven't had that choice up till now. You've been able to play
Yeah.
once every 3 to 4 months. So your rotation was the 4 dates a year you could do.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right? So I know you want to play Dexter's Lake Mary, which is
Yes.
one of our favorite
Absolutely.
places.
That's
100%.
one of the places I've seen other bands, and I'm like, wow, this is exactly what our band is.
That's where
wants
we
do,
like to play.
And I think you'd be, again, doing the crawl and playing in a band.
Yeah.
And going to, I think you'd be great at Cafe Murano. I think the crowd would love you at Cafe
Yep.
Murano. You're like a perfect fit for them. Where else are you thinking of? I mean, obviously, you're doing Fredster's already, which
Fredster's, and I'm hoping, that's, if that works out the way I think it will, brand new venue, I'd love to be a staple there. But local is good. When we played like Daytona, or you get a little further away, it's more of a project, and we usually spend the night and, make a weekend out of it. So local to Central Florida would be ideal. But we'll travel.
Now-
We've traveled.
Right, and yeah, we have done that quite a bit. That being said, we saw, Roger wasn't with us. We went to see a band, the Boomers. At,
Oh, yeah.
At New Smyrna's Traders, and the whole band was there because we had been booked for an Off the Hook gig that got canceled. Because of
I remember the weather, yeah.
So we all took the opportunity to see a band, and we saw Boomers at Traders New Smyrna, and that is the kind of place I remember from college. That's exactly what
yeah.
we were built for.
I
And
say
the
it's
Boomers are a great
Dexter's on
band.
the beach.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. So I know that's not super local, but we will bring a crowd there. We're going to, and Deanna is very local too, so she's bringing a lot of her friends. And
Actually,
family,
Deanna, okay, so you want to talk insane. Deanna's having her local wedding ceremony at like 4 in the afternoon.
So
And coming to
that's
play
right.
with us
and
that
then
night.
singing with you
That's right.
at 9, and I
Right.
think she's bringing her entourage
She is.
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
wedding,
yeah.
which will be fun. And by the way,
Oh yeah.
some crazy stuff happens at Traders.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
we can talk, and it's great. It's
Bring it
always
on.
it's fun,
Yep.
but some crazy stuff happens there.
Yep.
So this will be more of
Yeah.
it. I'll tell you what else is interesting. You are not used to playing out because again, it's a weekend here, a day here. I love hearing you guys be like, and we're playing till noon. I think we'll make it. I'm not sure. Like you will build an endurance, but what I have noticed is
love it.
a lot of the clubs are going like 7 to 11, 8 to midnight.
I noticed that too.
Dexter's is now 8:30 to 12, and I'm also noticing post-COVID. And by the way, if you guys aren't noticing, then that's fine, just my observation. But people are leaving earlier. Like they need to lower the time because at 1 a.m. it's thin.
Typically, our crowd that comes to see us are, over 40, let's say, and older than that. They don't stay out past 11:30 or midnight at the latest.
Right.
Now, look, we're excited to do it. We'll totally do it. But, at 1 o'clock in the morning, I guess we'll see. I don't know.
And at least you're not. So you're having Ryan do sound. So at least
Yes.
you're not loading your own PA system.
We're actually using Midnight Mayhem's gear for the most part. Thank you again.
That's right. Pretty much we are.
That's a pal right there.
No worries.
Yeah.
But yeah, imagine if you had to load that out.
Yeah.
Oh, I
What
at
used to
2 a.m. Yeah.
What used to kill me is we used to play some of the bars that were almost unknown was metal. We'd get done at 1:30 in the morning, and then they'd be like, "Okay, everybody, last call." They would turn on the jukebox at Mach 11 with like Rage Against the Machine.
You had to keep
You
it awake.
played 4 hours, and now this is pounding in your head, and you're like, it made you get out really quick.
Yeah,
Well, that's
right.
the
Because
idea,
you're like,
right?
oh my
Yeah.
God, I gotta be done. But you'll definitely get used to it. If you're watching the band crawl, you can find these guys on Facebook. They have an Eden Lane Facebook page.
Yeah.
You can feel free to shoot me a PM. I'm happy to connect you with either one of them. There are plenty of ways to get a hold of them, and they do have more dates coming up, which is great. I'm so excited
Yeah.
you guys are gonna be able to play more.
Yeah, thank you.
It's gonna be a lot of fun for everybody. I hope you enjoyed watching. get to know Eden Lane a little bit. Again, we're both there Friday, Saturday this weekend at Traders in New Smyrna, one of my favorite places to play. Sounds like it's going to be Bob's.
Yeah, it does.
Sounds like it's going to be Bob's.
It's
Sounds going to be Bob's. So go by, check it out. Check out all the great local bands wherever you are. Have fun, stay safe, and we will see you next week for the band crawl.